Hey, how's it going? My name is Kovdak. I write articles and threads about all things crypto. Today, we're looking at the lessons we can learn from startups and VCs. Before I got into crypto, I spent a couple of years working with startups and VCs, and there are a lot of things that you can take from that and apply to crypto to become a better crypto investor. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. Number one, the lean startup philosophy. The lean startup methodology is a more recent way of thinking in the startup world. It seeks to address a critical flaw in the way that most people approach building. A lot of people tend to spend a lot of time building out a perfect product with all these different features, these different bells and whistles. But in reality, the problem with that is your definition of perfection is not always right. At the end of the day, you're building a startup or a project for users. So your definition isn't the same as their definition. It isn't the same as what they would pay for. When you have an idea to build something, you probably have come up with a list of features, a list of things that it needs to have before it can be launched. But the problem with that is all these features are oftentimes things that people really don't care about, things that the users don't really want or need. And instead, they spend all this time building out things that don't really need to be built out. People spend years, millions of dollars building out the wrong thing. And what happens when they bring it to market? It doesn't do as well because it's not really what the people want, the users want. And the whole lean startup um, philosophy goes against this, right? It goes against sitting down and coming up with this definition of perfection for your product and building it out. Instead, it says just dive right in, get out of the building because there are no answers within your head, right? You need to get out, go talk to people, talk to your users, learn from them, and then get back building based on the feedback. This is a super useful framework and it forms how I really approach a lot of things in life. Oftentimes, we wait too long to do things because we're afraid that it isn't perfect. However, this pursuit of perfection is holding you back. A more practical way to approach projects is to do basic research and to jump right in, and then talk to people who have more information than you. A 30-minute conversation can teach you far, far more than hours of research. And then you learn as you go. You build something, talk to the users, talk to the people. You keep adapting as you go based on feedback and based on new information. And this is something that helps more than just in startups. This can be for anything. For example, if you have a thesis in DeFi, you could do the same thing. You go right there, you talk to some people, come back, reevaluate it, and then you keep doing this, and then you get better at it, and your thesis becomes way more sound than if it were just based on your research. I started my Twitter on a simpler basis. I was waiting for that perfect topic and it never came. Then finally, I just jumped right in, wrote about what I researched. It didn't do all that well, but I kept doing this and I kept what worked and I discarded what didn't work. And this approach helped me become a much, much better writer and it opened up so many opportunities that I never imagined. So let go of that notion of perfection because it's usually wrong. This isn't to say like don't do good work or anything. Instead, it's that your idea of perfection is flawed and this is a better approach to do something and get going and learning as you do it. And now is a great time to start something. A project, a Twitter thread, whatever it is. Now is the best time. Number two, customer discovery. So, customer discovery is another part of this lean startup methodology. And we've established that your definition of perfection is usually wrong. So, the way you figure out the right definition and how you get better is by talking to people. So, Go out there, have open ended conversations, and your goal is to learn. You just get on a conversation with someone, send them a DM on Twitter, hop on a call for 30 minutes, bounce ideas back and forth, and there you go. You've learned so much more than had you just read one thread. You want to start writing threads? Reach out to threaders and ask them how they did, ask them how they got started, what mistakes they made, and learn from them. You want some alpha? Talk to people in the market, learn new views, look at what people are looking at. And that's a great, great way to get better and get more information that you hadn't considered previously. Number three, the 1% chance of success. A lot of good VCs tend to perform this thought experiment. They imagine a situation where this particular startup did in fact succeed, that 1% chance that it did. What were the factors that made it so? And then they break the factors down even further. This is really rooted in first principle thinking. It's a matter of breaking things down into smaller pieces and then examining them, examining whether it's realistic or not. What can you do to make it more realistic? Elon Musk talks about this in his video when he was making the rockets. At first, everyone said it was way too expensive and not feasible. But then he looked at that unlikely situation where this indeed did happen. What would need to happen for that? The cost would have to come low. So he looked at batteries. What were batteries made up of? So he found all these different elements and then figured out a way to combine them in a way that's cheaper. And it's essentially a matter of looking at that 1% chance of this happening, breaking it down further and breaking it down further. I have a thread on first principles that I'll leave below. Next up, networking. Knowing the right person will unlock the door. And networking can seem daunting, but it's really a matter of just having a conversation with someone. It's pretty simple. So, a good way to go about it is to forget all the jargon and forget all the complexities. Just reach out to someone on Twitter, DM someone you find interesting, set up a 30-minute call, 15-minute call, and just talk to them. And there you go. You have one more person that you're connected with now. There's a good thread on this, and I'll leave it in the description below. Next, the power of leverage. Small things compound big time. Start right now, talk to someone new, write something, and keep repeating it. Say you talk to one person every week. By the end of the year, you would have talked to 52 people. You'd have gotten access and info on so many different areas of crypto, and you'd have tons of opportunities that you can't even imagine. Set up those small groups with similar people. Start sharing info back and forth. Start discussing, debating things, and you'll just watch yourself get so much better with each conversation. And also, it's super motivating to have other people sharing info, helping you, and exploring all these possibilities. And that's something I've been doing recently, and it's a huge, huge positive effect, and I highly recommend it to everyone. And it's super easy to get started. You just reach out to someone on Twitter who you thought had a good article or a good comment, set up a call with them. If your interests align, if your visions align, then get a group chat, find another person, and boom. Crypto is too big for one person to cover. So you need these sorts of groups to help you. You want alpha? This is how you get it. Next, the team. Teams make or break the project. VCs tend to invest in bad projects with a good team rather than the other way around. In your research, pay special attention to the team. See what they're doing, whether they're competent, whether they're complementary. And if they're not, it's probably not a good project to invest in. This is a little harder with undoxed founders, but you can look at how they communicate with each other, how they approach problems, and whether they're learning from their community. This is a huge, huge element that you should most definitely add into your evaluation. A lot of things are held together by strings. With startups, there's always a new fire that you have to put out. And it may be pretty upfront, but in the back, it's barely sticking together. This isn't always a bad thing. Good projects tend to fix these problems as they go. However, what's more important is that the core features, the core functionalities actually work. The rest, that's fixable, that's fine as they go. But if the core feature doesn't work, then the project isn't going to work either. Lastly, being dynamic. Crypto is very fast paced. What works today will not work forever. So it's important to keep moving, keep learning, and getting better. Your old trading strategies won't work forever. The current narrative won't stick forever. So it's super important to set up these groups, keep talking to people, getting new information so that you can stay on top of it and you can make those big gains. We're in a great time to experiment and build right now. Half the noise on Twitter has gone away. A lot of people have left the space. But if you're still around, it's an amazing time to experiment, get your hands dirty, try something new, work on a new project. The space is small, so you have the ability to reach people who you normally wouldn't be able to. So capitalize on it. And that's it. Those were the 8 lessons from startups and VCs. Let me know what you think, and let me know if there's a topic you want me to cover. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out my Twitter at Kovdak for daily breakdowns and insights. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.